Today we are going to answer a question that a lot of you guys ask is, Tim, what gear are you using? What microphone, what camera, what equipment, editing software? I am going to give you guys today a lowdown of all that stuff. That's coming up. Hey guys, my name is Tim Schmoyer, and it's Thursday, which means it's time for some YouTube Q&A. Before we get into that real quick, letting you guys know that I have a couple of these shirts left, just a few, so if you want one, you go to VideoCreators.com and order one. Put a link in the description text below. But let's get in today's question. What kind of mic are you wearing? Please share, thanks. Adele, you are not the only one who asks this. In fact, I get this kind of frequently. Tim, what camera are you using, equipment, all that kind of stuff. So let me switch to my iPhone, and I will, I want to record from this angle so you can see what I'm looking at here and show you everything I'm using. So to answer your question first, what I'm using actually for a microphone is this thing right here. It's the Sennheiser EW100G3. And just so you guys know, I will put links to all of these things I'm going to tell you guys about in the description text below, either to Amazon or B&H Photos, so you can go check them out. So this is a little bit more of an expensive microphone. The wireless receiver is up here on top of my camera, and so it just kind of goes from there to there. So it's not going very far distance. But I have found that when it comes to microphones, you kind of get what you pay for. It's like I've used the cheaper ones, and they introduced static pretty easily. The range on them was like really short. The audio just wasn't that good. And so that's the microphone I'm using. As far as the camera is concerned, I am using the Canon 60D. It's a little bit of an older camera, so you guys can probably get it pretty cheap now. But the reason I like it, because when I bought it originally, this flip out screen, like that's what I need. Like that's my monitor. So I don't have to hook up like another television to it. I can actually just like kind of frame myself and position myself just by looking at it. Because I'm also actually far away, I need to set the focus on myself, because usually the background's a little bit more blurrier. And so I actually have this wired remote, and if I push this button halfway, it's the same as holding the shutter button down halfway here on the camera that's to set the focus. So this way I can back up a little bit, and then I put myself right in the middle, and then I hold down the the button halfway, and it focuses on me. So that way I can get myself in focus, and because right now I can't like reach it to do it manually, or So that's that. The lens is a Tamron 17 to 55 millimeter. I'm not really sure where to show that to you. Here's the word Tamron. There we go. But it's a 17 to 55 millimeter lens, and 2.8 f-stop or aperture. So the lower the f-stop, which is like the bigger the hole gets, the more light that the camera that the lens will let in, which means like I have pretty dim lighting in here right now, just because I have really cheap lighting, which I'll show you those in a second. You could get like the Canon branded lens equivalent to that for about twice as much, and I found that you can save about half the money and just go with the Tamron lens. And just for my purposes anyway, I know it's not like super professional, but like for my purposes, it's like it works just fine. I don't know if any of you guys can even notice I'm not using an official camera lens. The other thing that I think is really important is I have this thing, and now this side is it's called a gray card. This is set to set proper exposure, so that when I point this at my before I start recording at the lens, it'll tell me if I'm overexposed or underexposed by using like a little exposure meter on the camera. And then the other side of it, see, this is the exposure side. This side is for setting white balance, and because it's really like basically what that does, if you don't know, is it tells the camera what the color white looks like. And that's important because it'll actually balance all the other colors based on what it knows what white looks like, and then that's how you get like accurate color reproduction in your image. As far as my lighting is concerned, I have this umbrella lamp right here, and then I have this soft box over here, and those are actually just like the cheap I think these are from ePhoto, but they're basically like the Cowboy Studio brand, and if you don't have anything else, they're fine. I think you could probably get something just as good, like get some canned lights on Target or Home Depot or something like that, and just kind of just use the same light bulbs for like all your lights, and then maybe diffuse it with maybe putting like some white sheets in front of it or something like that, so you don't get like this harsh shadow like across your face. So you want it to be like a soft, at least for this type of video that I'm doing anyway. So I mean, those kind of have like the diffusers built like right into them. You know, this one does too. But so you don't need them, but that's what I have. And then I have a couple more behind me that I use for other stuff. But that's all I use for that. And then the other thing, going back to the camera, I forgot to mention is that I am actually using Magic Lantern firmware, which is free, and I love it. I don't use the stock firmware that comes with the Canon camera, and the reason for that is because Magic Lantern actually is built, it designs to turn these cameras that are normally designed just for still photography and gives them like a lot of extra features that are great for video. So included, the main one is that it disables automatic gain control, which can introduce a lot of noise into your audio because it's not made for audio. Like they don't have like high quality camera audio like microphones in that thing. And so I use this one, and most of the time people will record externally, but I feel comfortable enough recording it directly into the camera from the receiver because I know that the automatic gain control is disabled, and I have set the levels right where I want. It even gives me meters here, which you don't get with the normal Magic or the normal stock firmware. And it gives me a histogram here also. It gives me a couple different ways to display how much time. So I have it set to show me how much time I have remaining left in this clip before it's gonna shut off, and a whole bunch of other stuff. You can do like automatic, you can do like rack focus settings on there, zebras. You can set like a whole bunch of things that are like just designed for usually for like high profile video cameras that bring those features to a DSLR. So that's that. And as far as video editing software is concerned, I use pretty much just primarily Adobe Premiere Pro. I'm still using the old school CS 5.5 because I don't feel like paying the monthly fee to upgrade to cloud, so I'm just kind of cheap like that. And then I use like After Effects, mostly just if I need to do like anything with titles or text or anything like that, I'll use that if it's something a little bit more fancier than I can do in Premiere. And then for a tripod, I'm using this little guy right here because it just sits on my standing desk and it's kind of like a good height, so I can just sit here. But this is the Joby Gorilla tripod, and it's really cool because it's super flexible. It can like wrap around anything, like around trees, around poles, and it's small enough that I can put it in my camera bag and just kind of keep it with me in case I'm not planning on needing a tripod, but if I run into a situation where I do need one, I can just quickly like strap it onto the top of a chair and use it. Or, like, it's just a really cool multi-purpose, easy to travel with, tiny little flexible tripods. And that's pretty much everything I use. I do have some other equipment here that I use for other situations, like a boom mic or shotgun mic. I can mount it also, or I have a boom pole back there, which is like really valuable. I have learned that audio is like one of the most important things, but you need different microphones for different types of situations, and if you just go out there and buy like a general microphone, it might not actually be what you actually need it for. So I have found like I usually just use this camera for everything. And microphones are actually what I actually, use for a lot of different situations. I got that one, and then I have like this Rode Pro, which just goes on the top of this camera if I'm just doing like a running gun and want to kind of capture everything that's in the area. I also have handheld mics, which are great for interviews, especially like in really loud situations that are like really like noise cancellation and isolation, things like that. This little guy is great if you need to record audio externally, or if you need to record like several different mics or tracks. This guy can record several different microphones and inputs, balancing them, and does like an awesome job. This is called the Zoom H4n, and I really highly recommend this thing if you need to record audio externally from your camera for any reason. I use that thing like a lot, and even just the mics just they're on it are like really solid too. Like you can use external microphones obviously, but like even the ones that are on it are pretty good. The X grip is really good. Like I usually put my camera right here, and then I can put like a microphone or something up here, and this is good. Like it's really cheap actually, and it gives me a little bit of extra stabilization if I'm like trying to run or follow or like get like a really low to the ground shot behind someone. Or even just like I'm doing close-ups of my kids, doing some of like their craft videos and things. This is super handy. And then the Big Daddy, I love this thing, the Glide Cam. This is the HD 2000, and like this thing is amazing for getting super stable shots. If you watch any like Devin Supertramp's videos, this is what he uses. A lot of other people. Like I can chase my kids literally up and down through a playground, and it looks like the camera is just gliding. This thing is amazing. So I love this if I'm doing more like wide outdoor shots and chasing, trying to get some action that I really just don't want, like my hand just to like look like shaky and stuff. This thing, awesome. So, like I said, I do have some other gear too, you know, depending on what I'm doing, white screens, green screens and stuff, but that's kind of like the stuff I use most often. And so I'd love to hear from you guys also in the comments below about what is some of your favorite gear. Share it with us because I don't, you know, I'm not a pro at this. I have collected some things over the years, but this is stuff that works well for me. So let me know what works well for you and the rest of you guys. If you're looking for some ideas, some recommendations, feel free to ask down there. I know there's a lot of really smart people here who are more versed in the gear side of online video than I am. I'm kind of just more like love the audience development side of YouTube, and I'm not really like a videographer necessarily. So definitely check out what other people down there are saying. And if this is your first time here hanging out, I'd love to have you subscribe. Every week I do kind of what you just saw here because I really do believe that some of you guys have messages that can really change the world and influence people's lives, and I will do everything I can to help you guys with that. So every Thursday I do videos just like this to do some Q&A with you guys. On Tuesdays we look at some online video news and talk about what the updates and changes that are happening in this space mean for us as creators. And then on Wednesdays to give you guys some YouTube tips, advice, suggestions, ideas, etc. So subscribe, and I will see you guys again next week. Bye.